What's up, guys? Okay, so at first my goal was always to try and help you guys all out on an individual basis, but I've just kind of had an overload. The problem has been I don't mind having that overload and helping a bunch of people out in that way, but the problem is I'll get people's stats and I'll say, all right, I'm going to come up with a meal plan or give you your calories that you need and things like that, but I'll just move on to the next one and the next one, and then I'll end up forgetting others, and then I'll hear back from them and say, have you done that yet? And I'm like, oh, fuck, I forgot, and so I don't want to keep people waiting. So I decided this would be the best way to actually make this video, and although you have to do a little work yourself, I'm going to basically give you the equation that I used first to find out how many calories I should take in a day, and it personally worked for me. What it's called is the Mifflin-St. Jeor, Jeor equation. You can look it up if you want. The most current equation that seems to work for a lot of people, and it definitely has worked for me. So I wanted to share it with you so you guys can figure out how many calories you should be taking in a day, whether that is to gain weight or lose weight, and I'll show you how to figure that out. So I'll put the link in the description, but let me just explain it. Now, first of all, your weight needs to be in kilograms and your height needs to be in centimeters. First, what you do is you figure out your RMR, your resting metabolic rate. And for a guy, it's 10 times your weight plus 6.25 times your height minus 5 times your age plus 5. So that's your RMR. And like I said, I'll have the link down below. For a female, your RMR is 10 times your weight plus 6.25 times your height minus 5 times your age minus 161. So that's how you figure out your RMR. Then you go on to how active you are. So this will actually take care of whether you're sedentary most of the time or you're extremely active. You're going to multiply that number that you got for your RMR by one of these numbers, and let me explain them. If you're just starting an exercise program, which would basically entail 3 easy sessions of light weights and then some slow-paced cardio, or just it could be one, or you're just basically just starting out. What you're going to do is times that number by 1.2. Now, if you're still a beginner but you're a little past that very noob stage, you're walking for cardio, maybe like 3 times a week for 30 minutes, and then you have like light to moderate weight sessions, then you're going to multiply it by 1.375. You're going to multiply that RMR number by that. Now, if you're an intermediate, it's going to be 3 to 4 30-minute plus low-intensity cardio sessions, and then 3 to 4 days a week with weights. And if you fall into that category, which most people probably will, you're going to times it by 1.55. Now you go into advanced. If you're doing 3 to 4 mixed intensity cardio sessions, which that'll include like half the time you're doing HIIT cardio, and then you're also working out 4 to 5 days a week real heavy, plus you do have a non-sedentary job where you're always active, and then you're going to times the number by 1.725. And then finally, the most advanced, if you're doing all those things, plus you play sports and you're doing manual labor, so you're basically active all fucking day long, then you times the RMR by 1.9. That basically, at that point, gets your TDEE, which is your total daily energy expenditure. And then from there, once you have that, you are going to decide what your goals are. Basically, at your TDEE, if you're eating that amount, you're basically eating enough for your body to stay the same. For me, when I first started out on my cut, I got my TDEE and then I subtracted it by 20%. That seems to be a good amount of caloric deficit for fat loss. So I subtracted that number by 20%, which if you don't know how to do that, you basically just punch in your TDEE number that you got on a calculator and then times it by 0.8. Now, if you're gaining, you're going to do the opposite, so you're going to want to actually add 20%. So you times it by 1.2. A common macro split that has worked for a lot of people, and this is what worked for me, is splitting it up like this. 30% of the calories are going to come from fats. 40% is going to come from protein. The final 30% are going to come from carbs. You guys probably know by now what I suggest as far as what types of foods to eat. If you don't, go ahead and check out my other videos. I have plenty of info on that, but that is a solid macro split and a good way to start to either gain weight, lose weight, or whatever. The equation has been proven to work time and time again, and I can definitely speak from experience that it's worked for me. Now, as you guys know, I'm carb cycling right now, but that's because I used this equation up to the point where I got to about 12% body fat, and then my fat loss halted. If you guys want to know about carb cycling, once you get to that point, go ahead and check out my carb cycling video. But yeah, this has worked for me. I can definitely attest to that. I wanted to specifically be able to do this for all of you guys, but it's just kind of gotten to the point where I don't really have the time, considering I don't make money doing this. So I have my job to do, among other things that, you know, are just required in life. So I don't have all the time in the world, unfortunately. I hope this helps. And if this helps you out, guys, all I ask is that you guys could possibly share this video or like it or favorite. It helps out a lot, actually. Thank you, guys. See you next video.